Yo, what is going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions, episode 454. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Emilio Lopez.
What's up, people? How's it going?
Carlos Romero.
Yo, yo, yo.
Adam Vale.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing?
And Brett Murdoch.
What up, people?
All right, Brian is MIA. We have no idea what's going on with him. And Chris is tired. He needs to initiate the Odin sleep.
And I give props to Brian for even showing up once. Because it's like, what, 4 or 5 in the morning where he's at? And he has to get up to go to work, so he just stays up. That's hard.
Yeah, respect. And the funny thing is, shout out, with all respect to Brian, he shows up and he barely says anything. So,
well, he's probably playing something.
Yeah, he probably is.
Stay away.
Yeah.
Well,
you already know.
I think we might. You know who it is? I think we might have coincided with daylight savings time.
Oh, is that happening over there?
Time
Maybe. I'm not sure.
I see October 29th. So maybe. Oh no, that's still a month from now. Never mind.
Yeah, we just started October.
We just started October. You mean you adding years?
Yo, man, I'm adding months and years.
Yeah, I looked up. I was like, October. What the fuck? How'd that happen? The march of time, man. Inevitable. Anyway, let's get into it, man. Throw down your questions, baby. And big shock here. Out of the 11 questions we got, 7 of them are about Jim Ryan.
Of course they're about Jimbo.
So let's get into it, man. Hopefully things won't be as contentious as they were on Thursday.
Chat, guys, can you legitimately find a picture of Jim Ryan young? Go out there, find it.
That'd be funny.
I'm not going to bet you that you won't find it, but it's probably the most difficult thing you could ever find. You could find a young, what is this? Phil Spencer, but you can't. It's really difficult to find young photos of Jim Ryan, like maybe 10 years ago, maybe because maybe like 2000 or like 2000s and stuff like that.
I still maintain that because remember, he's been working for Sony for 30 years, right? I maintain that he probably looked exactly the same 30 years ago. I wouldn't be surprised. I think he's one of those dudes, like Steve Martin, Motherfucker just looks old. But we'll see. We'll see what the chat comes up with, There's got to be like a skinny Jim Ryan. Yeah, Manny, Logic Win says, are you claiming that Jimbo is an android?
I don't think he's an android, but he could just be perpetually old, like Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, that's what I think. Logic Wins. See, we had the same idea. I really think if you look at him, see a picture from 1994, motherfuckers look exactly the same.
Didn't he start at a low position too? He worked his way up.
Yeah, he worked his way up. Yeah.
He was in the mail room and shit. Like,
no, I don't think it was that much.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but he worked his way up. All right, so Jim Ryan questions tonight. And Adam, you missed it because you weren't here on Thursday. Oh, by the way, shout out to you in the FC review, on the coalition.
Oh yeah.
But things got hot on the podcast with the comments, man. It's crazy.
I don't know why.
I don't know either. I'm like, I didn't expect it to bring that much heat, but it is what it is, man. And we do apologize for some of the name calling that happened on the show. You guys know we love you, man. Guys, we love you. It's just shit get crazy around here sometimes, Anyway, let's get into it, man.
What are they upset about?
I didn't know Jim Ryan was your mama.
Yeah,
guess he is.
Yeah, Manny, chill out, man.
I'm fucking around.
Yeah. No, Adam. Basically, the long and short of it is nobody was mad over what we said about Jim Ryan. They just didn't like what we were saying about PlayStation. So. Yeah. Anyway, let's get into it. Villa Kai, and by the way, I structured these so all the Jim Ryan questions are right up front and stuff.
All right, sounds
good. Villa. So I'm going to be jumping around between people. All right. Villa Kyle. And this is a question we actually asked during the show on Thursday. What successes and failures would you attribute to Jim Ryan in the leadership of Sony Interactive Entertainment, and how do you rate his tenure as CEO? Personally, I'm happy to see the end of his uninspired downward spiraling regime. Damn, tell me how you really feel.
Yeah, I thought I was going to get roasted for my feelings on Jim Ryan tonight. So good to know.
Don't worry, we have the counter view question.
Yeah, we have
next,
a counter
Brent.
one.
Oh, I'm sure we got both. I didn't know. I was like, everybody's going to be like, shut the fuck up, you Jim Ryan hating motherfucker.
Yeah.
Here, you know, the one thing
let's make something clear though. There's not, most of the fans don't like Jim Ryan and are happy that he's gone. So like when one fan has a counterpoint as part of the cast, let's not pretend like everyone is that opinion. It's just one person.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay.
Nope, so fans are a monolith. You can't go back on it now.
So and Throwdown's a monolith apparently too. You know.
So you know, I would say like the one thing, like say for most of Jim Ryan's tenure, it was just a lot of very unpopular decisions that he had to essentially backpedal on, and I think that's kind of a lot of what his tenure is. But the thing about it is based on the strength of the brand of PlayStation in general, he could have done anything, and it still would have not. It would have not have dragged. Well, not anything, but he could have done a lot more, and it probably wouldn't have affected a lot of the perception of what the brand is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, here's a hot take from Logic Wins. Worst PlayStation generation ever. The first generation where I didn't buy a PlayStation, and probably the last unless Sony shifts its course.
I would say, to be honest, as far as this generation is probably the most mediocre generation of PlayStation, but apparently mediocre is fine. Yeah,
it's interesting with this generation because like I agree with that sentiment. I've been complaining about this generation of PlayStation the entire time. That's why a good segment of PlayStation fans on Twitter hate me, because I've been very vocal about it. But at the same time, so you got that mediocrity, right? The lack of first-party game, exclusive games that are only for PlayStation 5, right? We had a lot of cross-gen games this generation. So we have that, yet this is also one of PlayStation's most financially successful generations ever. Which is interesting, despite all the shit that's been happening in the world. But it's still the most successful. So you have that weird dichotomy. It's like you have potentially the lowest when it comes to actual games that we're getting, and then you got high sales. It's a weird thing.
That's not despite you lock people in their houses for a damn near year. You're going to sell some video games.
Yeah. And then the other thing is that also, not to mention that a lot of games have been the prices of games have gone up. The console has gone up. It's higher than the last one, right? What was it, 500 right now?
Yeah, 500. Yeah, right. The console is more expensive.
It stays at 500. The console is more expensive.
Games are $70.
The first party games are more expensive. The PlayStation Plus is more expensive, and people are just kind of accepting it.
Yeah,
hey, inflation.
I didn't know that was going to come up because there was a report that showed that people buying less games since the price has gone up. They're just not buying as many as they would.
Well, I haven't heard about that.
Yeah, I mean that's what I mean. To be honest, that's what would happen if you're going to sell games at a higher cost.
But at the same time, does the raise prices even things out? Because revenue wise, they're doing very well.
Maybe it is evening things out. Maybe it's just like, all right, so there's more expensive games, so people are less people are buying them, but I don't know, is a $10 difference that much of a difference?
I don't know. And then you got to take this into account too, right? When a game is on PS4 and PS5, the PS5, the more expensive one, will sell more than the PS4, even though PS4 has more consoles out there. And this has started ever since the beginning. Like Miles Morales. Remember, think about this. When Miles Morales came out, right? The DLC. I know it's for fucking standalone, but I call it a DLC. There were only like 2 million or so PlayStation 5s, right? It still sold better on PS5 than it did on PS4, even though there were like 100 million PS4s.
Well, I mean, that is their own sneaky marketing on that one.
Yeah,
they didn't want you to. They didn't want you to think that it was a cheaper version or a PlayStation 4 version. But it's out there if you want to look.
Yeah.
But the focus.
Same thing with Horizon Forbidden West, right? People even ask like, "Wait, that's on PS4?" Sony wouldn't have really told you that, you know.
No, they just left it out.
Not
they just
directly.
put it out there. Like if you know, well, you know, most people aren't looking at the bottoms of the thing. They're just looking at, oh, hey, look, it's out, and it's on the PlayStation 5. It's advertised on the PlayStation 5 thing.
Advertisement tells you what. Again, I always tell the story. Man, you remember we went to GameStop one time, and this one guy, you know, we were on the line or whatever, and he was like, "Oh man, I wish Call of Duty was on PlayStation." It was like, dude, it's right there. It's on PlayStation. It's been on PlayStation this entire time. But since he saw the ads with the Xbox, he just went, "Oh, it's an Xbox game."
It's the power. It's definitely the power of ad, you know, ad revenue, and then that's also goes into Mr. Ryan on the whole Call of Duty thing, because it wasn't only just the plain fact of, you know, having it on PlayStation. It's the fact that, Sony had it on lock on all of the advertising for the console. So in other words, the general audience thinks, oh, hey, it's only on PlayStation now.
Yeah.
Even though it's on both.
Yeah. But anyway, going back to Jim Ryan. So what are his successes and failures?
I don't. It's very difficult to think about any of the successes the guy has had. But again, like success, it could just be the whole thing in general.
Yeah.
In other words, PlayStation didn't go crashing and burning into the ground.
I was just about to say, I think his big success is kept things going. Despite his own bullshit. You know?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I was like, he kept he didn't negatively affect the brand to where people just decided to throw their PlayStations out the window. But, you know, I would say also, you know, one of the things that are maybe attributed to Mr. Ryan is the fact that PlayStation games are coming out to PC. But I mean, granted, that was already an initiative that was started, you know, on the previous guys.
Yeah.
So, you know, that is one thing that I know a lot of PlayStation fans are pretty butthurt about there being PlayStation games in general on a PC.
Yeah, I saw a lot of that this week. Yeah,
a lot of anger over that, which I don't fully understand, but you know, is what it is. Yeah, so I think that's what his greatest success was this generation, not fucking up so badly that it literally killed their upward momentum. They continued to keep on the line and doubled what they did. So officially, that would make the guy a success.
Yeah.
Now, on the other hand, and obviously you have all of his. I wouldn't call them failures, but I would just say they were unpopular.
Yes.
Unpopular things, like, you know, again, you know, closing down the PlayStation 3 store without a sort of without a plan to essentially continue to support those games in the future. In other words, you're telling me you're throwing what was it? How long ago was PlayStation 2 now? I mean, PlayStation 3 now? 10, 15 years?
No, wait,
20 years now?
Oh yeah, 2006. That's right. Yeah, so it's been a while.
So
it's been a while.
17.
Yeah. If it was at 15, you said?
16, it's going to be 16.
16. Oh, so I was close. So I'm on the stage and the price is right.
10.
Anyway, so you have, like, in other words, there's no solution as to, like, you're literally throwing 16 years worth of games into the garbage pail because you want to close down the store without actually also going in and investing in the future of whatever that is. To be honest, like, if you had all, like, how awesome would it be? And you see it on Xbox right now. You can literally granted, their class, like their legacy games are also specific titles. You know, the popular ones. Obviously, you don't want Barbie Horse Adventure, you know, to work on your, you know, modern consoles, or maybe except, you know, a couple people.
Yeah, that
but
one weirdo,
you know, like,
out there.
without any really sort of solution as to what those games will, you know, you're leaving money on the floor in that situation. So that was not a good plan. Attempting to close down they closed down the PlayStation Portable store, which, you know, but also trying to also attempt to close down the PlayStation Vita store, and also making a lot of it very difficult to get your hands on. You can't officially put money onto your PlayStation 3 or Vita account without actually first doing it, you know, without doing it through, you know, other means. You can't actually go directly to it. You have to have money in there. You can't go there. You can't essentially use the store to put money in there for yourself. What was it? They had to use cards and stuff like that in order to get all that stuff. They obviously made it very difficult to be able to do it. There's that. There is, what was the other stuff?
Well, here Logic Win says, here's as far as wins goes, he got Nixus on board. They do great PC ports, and also getting PC games on, PlayStation games on PC. That's a win.
Yeah, that's a win.
And didn't he also get Insomniac during his tenure? That's
no, I thought that was before that.
Okay,
It was definitely very close to Spider-Man.
Yeah,
like right on the tail of Spider-Man. But I feel like that was the previous guys. But you guys could
you guys can verify that. But Nixus definitely did happen during his tenure. So that's a win right there.
Well, I mean, he most definitely saw that again. Like, and I said this, the reason why they were starting to do PC ports in the last time. He literally gives their games an extra shot in the arm when they've run their course in the galaxy of PlayStation.
Yeah, right? Which is something these guys don't seem to understand. The haters, like devalues PlayStation.
I mean, the thing about it is, like, are you still? One question I like to ask
you
everybody:
gonna go spend $3,000 on a PC?
Are you still?
Then?
Are you like that more? Are you gonna spend $3,000 PC? On the other thing is, like, are you continuing to buy versions of Horizon Zero Dawn?
Yeah, exactly.
Once you run, like, in other words, it's like, I mean, to be honest, like, at that point, once it's already run its course and all the FOMO is all over 3 or 4 years later, are you still going to, you've already sort of moved on to the next thing, so why not, put it out on a PC and get a little bit of extra shot in the arm? And to be honest, like, I would say this, like, as far as preservation, it's actually kind of good that it's on the PC, because at least you have it out there and somebody can figure out how to get it to work on something else if it's using the same architecture to run it, right? Maybe we won't have some of these situations where they're like, oh no, we use this antiquated system and we can't get it to work. We gotta go do emulation. So there you go. What was it? I mean, I guess you would consider it success for picking up what's her face's company after Google shit the bed.
Oh, Jade Raymond's company?
Yeah, Jade Raymond's studio, right? That would be considered success, but granted, I would say
the games haven't come out, so we'll see about
the games haven't come out, so we haven't seen anything from that come to fruition. Remember the one that he said about old games? This is going back to
that was before he was the
that was like when he was like getting in office. He was like, why would anybody
that was still before that. That was still like years before that.
Oh, still before? Okay.
Yeah, that was like 3 or 4 years before that,
Oh, okay.
But he still made that comment regardless.
He did make that comment, but we can't consider that part of this
no, it's not. Thing. All right. Anybody else Jim Ryan's successes and failures?
His main failure was getting caught just saying all that horrible shit about Activision. Like they're saying, oh, we don't care about that. We just don't want you to do it.
Oh, yeah, the pettiness. Yeah,
the pettiness. It's one thing to say, listen, we just think it's not good business. All that. All right, fine. But when you say, no, I just don't want you to do it. And just the way they were strong-arming Activision, hearing about all the shit behind the scenes, like, threats and stuff, how they wanted payments. It was very weird and shady. I get it, that happens everywhere, but it's caught. That shit was released, and that didn't give a good look. And I'm sure that played a big part of other companies trying to deal with it. Like, oh, well, we know how you think, and are you going to strong arm us too and say that if we want to be on other platforms, you're going to jack up our price or hide and bury our game and shit? Yeah.
I don't know if that's the worst thing he did. But,
that's not the worst.
No. But I mean, in most recent, I think that plays a big part. It's like, does he want to deal with all that shit again? Nah, fuck it. He's rich. He can walk away into the sunset.
Carlos, what say you, man?
The whole thing with the studios, because he did create or acquire a whole bunch of small studios. Jade Raymond's being one of the most notable ones. But for those, we have no clue today how those are going to work out. We might know, and I would consider it positive, even though, I mean, we'll still see, because they technically haven't released a brand new game under the Sony, but Bungie, it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, that is a big deal.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, that's a big one.
I mean, if Phil Spencer were to retire tomorrow, the Activision deal is a positive towards his resume.
Yeah.
So I'll give Jimbo a positive for Bungie, because Bungie is pretty big, and it's it does something they were seriously lacking. Their whole games as a service, multiplayer, games that get people to keep coming back in, microtransactions, all that stuff. That's the type of thing that Sony was lacking, that they acquired, and they acquired one of the best. But also as a downside, you guys mentioned all of the rhetoric that Jim mentioned that was out of touch with the fan base. There's a reason why a lot of PlayStation fanboys were celebrating when he was gone. It's just he didn't connect with anybody. He didn't connect with the fan base. He always said stuff that was kind of odd, and then he wrote back on like the whole thing. Nobody cares about the legacy and the old games and all that stuff. And also toe dipping on a streaming service just as a straight reaction from Game Pass. So and also the output from first party games. I understand that Sony has a type of game, the third person narrative action title, which we all love. We're all fans of Uncharted and God of War and stuff like that. But there was a considerable lull in this generation, this last generation, and it's probably some of the lowest output from Sony in terms of just volume of games. Still got quality, but it was few and far between, and it wasn't just a Sony thing, but it's still a Sony problem, even though it's a problem with everyone else. And, there was it was a generation where Jim Ryan led, and I can't remember. It's like what God of War was the best. God of War Ragnarok's the best thing that came out.
As far as games go, that's a hard one. Didn't they acquire? And I'm forgetting the name of the studio now. The Returnal Studio. Didn't they acquire that under his tenure?
House Marquee, yeah.
Yeah, House Marquee. That's a big one. And then Counterpoint, Japan studio closed under his tenure.
Oh yeah, that's yeah.
So.
And to counter that, Blue Point.
Excuse me? Blue Point, that's a big one,
That's huge.
Yeah. Before we move on to the next question, Brett, you got anything you want to chime in here with?
I mean, I think I've said everything before that I had to say about him, like as a part. Like, he's just an executive, and that shouldn't be. I know. Like, here's the deal. Everything I have to say about him, people are going to come back and be like, what's an executive? That's his job. But like, I kind of argue that that's not really the case. Like, I understand chasing money and profits and all that good stuff is at the end of the day your job and motive, no matter where you are in a corporate structure. But I also believe that there are other people who have varying degrees of ulterior motives that, maybe they just kind of love to do it. Like, at the end of the day, most people try and get into this industry because at one point they did enjoy it as a hobbyist. And whether or not that's a mistake, that's where they start from. Jim Ryan just always seemed like a just guy that was poured into a corporate suit, yes man, like liar face, McNothing burger. Like I don't think I really see a lot there that's substantial. As Manny said before, like, what is there to really criticize? And I kind of feel like that's the worst thing that you can say, but it's also the truth here. Like, they're like, if anything, I'd be like, man, like, he came, he swung for the fences. That dude, like, he tried and he failed. And that I can't say that here. I mean, he didn't even fucking try and come out with a fucking Connect or something like that. I'm not saying that would have been better, but man, it wouldn't have been worse than what? Nothing.
Just real quick, I want to go ahead. Actually, Carlos, you go, and then I want to read something Ace Ali said.
When did Jim Ryan's reign start? Do you guys remember?
Wasn't it 2019? 2019?
Because
let's double check that.
Insomniac was 2019.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't. To be honest, I wouldn't probably not credit him with that then.
Yeah, it may have already been happening.
That's too soon.
That was probably already in the works. So, well, let's see. When did was it Andrew House?
Yeah, when did he leave? All right. Anyway, we're quick. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Yeah, let me read this. You guys looked it up. Ace Ali. There's plenty that Jim Ryan could have done in theory. He was a good businessman for PlayStation, and the company will be better for his 30 years of work. We're soon going to see the fruits of what he's been doing for years to come, and especially in the coming months. And Blitz says
we already have though. It's 10 service games. It's
Manny. We hear you chewing. By the way, you might want to mute yourself.
All the things I can say, like, cool. He raised the price of video games, starting a wave across the industry that became the new standard. Cool. He instigated like a dozen development cycles on pay-to-win online games that nobody asked for or wants. He pulled the trigger on shit like Avengers. Like, dude, like, the dude was all about the dollar. Right, and not even in a way that is amicable to his audience, but in a way that is honestly fucking destructive to the brand.
Oh, by the way, short-sighted. Real quick, Brett, because this happened last time, and I forgot to kind of correct you on this. 2K was the first company that raised prices by $70. So maybe it would be more correct for you to say he standardized it. Because PlayStation really ran with it. Because 2K, they raised the price of $70 on a basketball game, and then people got pissed off and they backtracked on that. But Sony was like, "No, we're going to do that and stick with it." So
that's true.
So I think it's fair to say they standardized it. Yeah,
they had backtracked on it, and maybe that's the reason I get so upset about it. It's like they had backtracked, they had backed down and went, "You're right, you're right. Our bad. We don't need to do that." And then Sony comes in the yard. It's like, no, I got your back, son. And
it's the first platform to do it.
Then it kind of became a thing.
Yeah.
So it angers me even more that 2K had kind of backed down, and then Sony comes in and is like, I got your back, in some anime fucking shonen moment, and it then stuck because of course it did in those circumstances. So yeah, I still blame Sony, but I don't blame Sony in the sense of I do in the sense of you don't go fuck yourself. It's the principle of the matter. You're not delivering us more. You promised us more. You're giving us the exact same thing. You believe in generations, and by that you apparently mean you're charging me $10 more for the same goddamn shit. If you at least had the decency to give me something new for that extra $10, I'd be fucking appreciative. But you don't. You don't. You give me the same goddamn thing, staring me in the eye and saying you're gonna fucking take it. And the principle of that part right there is what gets me all fucking ruffled up, man. The whole yeah, we're fucking you. What are you gonna do about it? At least have the premise to I don't know if this analogy is too much, but if you're gonna fuck me, at least take me to dinner first, right? At least butter me up a little bit instead of being you're gonna take it, man, and you're just gonna take it. So give me something fucking more.
Yeah, Blitz, no whataboutisms, dude, please. He says Redfall was $70 after Sony already kind of standardized.
Yes, again, after it had become standardized, and yes, to a certain extent, I lay Microsoft charging $70 at Sony's fucking feet. Fight me.
Yeah. By the way, Brett, will you also blame? Because we're going to talk about this later. Question, because the rumor is that GTA 6 is going to be over $100. Will you also blame that on Sony? That's what one of the questions is for you.
No, that's a whole different thing. They're not going with an industry now industry standardized $70. I may say that it was the beginning of the end when we kind of unlocked ourselves from price points, but I think GTA is its own thing. If they had been we're charging $70, yeah, I mean, sure, that's the new standard. But this whole, if they're charging over $100, that's got balls that make Jim Ryan blush right there.
Oh man.
By the way, I have Jim Ryan stepped in at April 2019.
Okay.
And the Insomniac deal was August of 2019.
So it happened under his tenure.
He did. So it happened, significantly several months after he started.
Yeah, so that's too close.
Yeah.
Too close, man. Too close.
I'm not giving him the credit for that one. That shit takes way longer than that to get through.
Yeah.
Well, he crossed the finish line, so that's still important.
He's going to get credit for it regardless, Didn't Redfall also have a 30? Why are we talking about Redfall?
Yeah, who the fuck? Why? Like, Redfall was awful. So, here's the deal. Redfall was awful. Microsoft has been dropping the ball. Multiple people can suck. Moving on.
Thing about it is that I don't even really blame Microsoft for that. I blame Bethesda or ZeniMax for themselves for not canceling that thing, because that game was in development long before that deal had ever happened. So
yeah, everybody's like, but Dishonored was so good.
Yeah,
it really wasn't.
Yeah,
no.
All right, I'll read this one comment, even though it is what it is. GZR says, "Did Brett not pay $80 for Star Fox 64 15 years ago?"
No, I did not.
He rented it.
Yeah.
Remember rentals?
Yeah. No, I guess he's making a statement about how games cost $70 back in the 90s when they were, 90s money. So they're, cheaper. That's the thing. Anyway, I want to move on. Next question. That was only the first question, people.
Okay, hold on.
Go ahead, Brett. Go ahead.
Wait. One more. Jim Ryan did also close Japan Studio.
Yeah, I said that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead, Brett.
So for the whole games cost to say are you talking about with inflation or without inflation? That's first nail that part.
You can go digital now.
They're saying
they should be
yeah. Like the fact they have digital, their profit margins are through the roof. Mm-hmm. I don't understand how people can be like, they need to be the same amount. They need to charge $7, and then look at the fucking profit. They're the record fucking profits that they're making. They don't need to do shit. They didn't need to do shit. Look at the profits before they raised it up. They were already making record fucking profits. And then Jim Ryan said, hey, you know what would be really nice if we just squeezed more money out of our customer base and gave them nothing in return. And some of you motherfuckers with your sunk cost fallacy just come running to be like, well, with inflation and blah, 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 blah. Here's the deal. You're either getting mad at the principle or you're getting mad at the math. If you're getting mad at the fucking math, then do the whole goddamn math equation and look at the fact they've been making money hand over fist. They don't need your defense. They don't need you to come in and explain why it was fucking necessary, because it's not. They've changed the platform. They have digital-only sales. They've taken out third-party resellers and big box retail. Right? The playing field is not the fucking same. They have a monopoly on your ass, and you guys are going out of your fucking way to defend them about why they should be taking $10 out of your goddamn pocket. And again, on the matter of it's a fucking principle of the thing, I'm not mad about the $10, but what really fucking irritates me is you guys are going to do all the fucking mental gymnastics just to justify paying more for the same goddamn product. The fuck is wrong with you people? Sorry, I'm done. Going back to build my ship at Starfield. Jesus fucking Christ.
All right, man. Let's move on. Next question here. Kind of on the other end here. Jay Shep. Jim Ryan isn't the most likable CEO. However, it's hard to ignore the PS5 sales numbers and the hated PS Portal, which is currently selling out in most regions. Interesting anecdote there. Will Jim Ryan's financial moves help set up the next PlayStation CEO for success? Yeah, because remember, we talked about this. We basically said that Jim Ryan was riding the coattails of the previous guys. So you kind of have to say that's going to happen with the next guy too. He's going to be riding the coattails off of Jim Ryan's success too. Just to be
if live service games are going to kick off,
yeah,
sure.
Yeah, but
because he's not leaving anytime soon. Remember,
he's leaving in April.
Yeah, that's a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, Brett, Blitz says you're the guy who's playing mental gymnastics here, but
okay.
Oh, you're getting heated over here. Don't
understand how I'm playing mental gymnastics. It's black and white. Are they making money hand over fist? Did they need to? Did they? Are you going to tell me that they needed to raise the price to cover their losses, to cover their expenses? Because we can get into and do the math. I will do the math and round back with you next week.
That's all it is.
By the way, and Brett, on the other end, Mr. Jolly says he feels what you were ranting about.
I appreciate that. I'm just saying, man. It's the principle of the thing, right? We're not arguing about $10. We're arguing about whether or not people needed to charge more for the same product. That's what the basis of my argument is. And if you can go back and show me where they were losing their shirt were making less than record fucking profits until they did this, then cool. We can have that conversation. But they weren't. They were doing fucking amazing. And then, when they had the option to launch PlayStation 5 exclusives, they didn't, and they charged you more money for it. Right? And so not only do they have an environment where you're buying the same shit again, but sometimes you're paying digital upgrade to buy things. Like, that didn't make me fucking happy either. But at the very least, you're paying $10 more for the same goddamn thing. So, like, if we want to have an argument, like, let's keep it on that point. Like, let's leave out the whataboutism, and you tell me why that shit needed to happen, other than some executive saw an opportunity to squeeze a captive audience.
Hey, he was like, "Hey, we got a huge install base. Let's just start charging them more."
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, there's only one interpretation of that. I don't understand, where, and I guess maybe that's the thing I need to finally pin down. Like, what is your interpretation of that? What do you think is going on here when they raise the price when already making record profits?
Yeah. All right. We'll give them time to answer.
I feel like for this conversation, I think it's important as a consumer to just judge because games are not a monolith. There's different types of games that you'll buy, different types of experiences that you want to experience. And if you get a price tag and you get a game, it's not black and white. There's a correlation between the price and the type of game that you're looking at. If someone puts a $60 price tag on fucking Life Brian of Isaac or whatever the fuck that game is, I'm going to say no.
Isaac, yeah.
If you put a $50 price tag on Dinosaur High, I'm going to say no. If you put a $20 price tag on Life of the Black Tiger, I'm going to say I won't even pay $1 for that shit. So when Sony raises the price, and yes, they're raising the price like anybody else raises the price because they want to make more money, because that's their whole thing. That's the whole shtick. That's the MO. And when they raise up the price as a consumer, you have to make the decision. So for this game, for $70, am I going to want to buy it? Do I need to buy it? Do I want to buy it? And that's a singular
vote with your
question.
wallet. That's the way they say about everything: cars, clothes, money. Vote with your wallet. This is the same thing with these subscription services all jacking up. People canceling them because they're like, man, this costs you more than cable. Vote with your wallet.
Yep. Might as well get cable.
Mm-hmm. and by the way, if $70 is a huge increase in price of games, these games always go down in price real quick.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Thing about
that's the other thing.
Like, you could theoretically resist the FOMO. You could really
literally about that later.
I got.
You could literally to be honest, you almost if you wait almost a month or two, you're guaranteed to get your game for a little bit cheaper than it was before.
Yeah.
So
remember Guardians of the Galaxy, with like a month in, it went down to 30.
Well, that game didn't do so well. So. Initially, so that's what happened.
The game didn't do well.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It was a fantastic game. So for $30, that's a deal.
And that's why the GTA thing I actually kind of respect in a way. It's not pro consumer in any way, but
Andy, we hear you.
It's not a pro consumer move by any stretch of the imagination, but it's them saying we put so much into our product and we cultivated such a fan base that we believe that you believe that it's worth more than $100. And if they make ham and fist selling a game $100, then more respect to you, because you released a product that people deemed worthy of $100.
I think we're already seeing $100 games, but it's a bundle. It's a certain version. And I have a feeling that's what we're probably hearing about. It's not so much that the game itself will be it, but there will be a tier that is 100. Wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, well, we see that with
we already see that.
Release early games, and you're gonna have an extra costume. It's gonna be
yeah. We get them all. Sport games all do it. The basketball game does it. FIFA does it. Well, FC does it. They all do it. It's like $100 tier. Call of Duty does it. They all do it. So I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know why people are so surprised. Like $100.
Here's the thing though. Like the one thing about it, like I feel like when it comes to raising prices like that, you always have to, like, if you're going to do something like that, you should try to guarantee that there's something more than there was before. So like buying vanilla Spider-Man, right? Spider-Man 2. You're not getting anything extra for that game. But yet in all what was it? How much is the super edition of that one? And it comes with a bunch of those like 4 different outfits. Are you saying that price is worth those digital outfits? I don't know about that. But what if all of that stuff came with it? And then, you know, what if you had a situation where it was like, all right, the lower tier is if you don't get anything. It's a $60 game. The second tier is the one that comes with all the costumes and all that other shit, and that's $70.
I mean, what if we lived in a world where people wanted Adam's Warthog's skin for Forza?
Yeah, but yeah,
nobody who listens to the show cares about Xbox. Maybe one.
Okay, Logic wins, man. Shout out to him. But anyway, going back to the question, yeah, I think whoever replaces Jim Ryan will be coming into a lot of success. You know, so yeah.
No, yeah, they're gonna if they're smart, they'll probably try to keep the same line of things going, but you know. And try not to, you know, screw the pooch. I mean, to be honest, a lot is hinging on PlayStation doing well because obviously most of Sony's, companies are not doing very well. They're not doing amazingly. Sony PlayStation is the breadwinner at their company.
Yeah. Yep. Go ahead, Carlos, if you're gonna say something.
Oh no, I was just agreeing.
Cool. All right, moving on. Ace Ali, what are some qualities you'd each like to see from the next president and CEO of PlayStation?
To be honest, I'd like to see them get back to go, you know, to more interaction with the people. You know, like doing like the, you know, like those 2 years that they did the PlayStation experience. That was cool.
Yeah, it was.
Like you know, you can be like just have like a convention that you could go to and sort of meet the people, get some fun exclusive stuff, and you know, like listen to all this sort of stuff. Like pretty much like, you know, if you wanted to go to pretty much E3 just but for PlayStation, I thought that was cool. I thought that a lot of the, you know, what was it, making the list thing was a kind of a cool little initiative that they did. And all the guys that seemed like they were working over there, they actually seemed like they were enthusiastic about their products. You know, you could even look up every single one of those people, right? And see what games they've actually played and see how many games that they've platinum. Yeah. Like, what was it? What the hell's his name? The architect. Shuhei Yoshida. You could search him out on PlayStation Now. You could literally see all the trophies that he's gotten for all the games.
Mark Cerny as well, you know.
Mark Cerny, who's like a fucking beast, man. Like that dude, what was it? He platinum Bloodborne and like Elden Ring and shit like that. So I'm like, where the fuck are you doing? How the fuck are you doing this? Maybe he's like, I'll just give it to my son. But I mean, it's still kind of cool. Like before you could go on to see Gio Corsi, what he was doing on there. Like I think he still has the same PlayStation thing. You just have a little check mark from that.
Yeah. I think that'll be good. Like someone, you know. Yeah, someone like we used to have, like a Sean Layden and stuff, you know. We need somebody, Jack Trenton, guys like that, you know.
Yeah, those guys, like we met, like me and Tony have been to a lot of E3s, but when you do meet any of these guys in halls, they were like, you to talk to them a little bit, and you know, they don't know who you are, but they still sit down and talk to you. But then like, hey, you know, be like, hey man, what about this? But you know,
like here's one good example, right? Because I went to one. Actually, I went to 2 PlayStation experiences, right? And one of them, like, I go there. As a matter of fact, I went to the little gift shop to buy you something, Manny. And Gio Corsi was on the line, right? And I'm like, hey, why are you on the line? You don't need to actually be on the line. You're Gio Corsi. He's like, yeah, but I like hanging out with the people. That right there lets you know something. That's pretty special. Jim Ryan would be caught dead doing shit like that. You know,
and one time I went like it was like at the bar at the which bar was it at? I can't remember. It was the main, the one, I think that Hyatt that we stayed in the first 3 years of E3. And like, I think there was like, I was just there and I saw Gio there. I started talking with him. And then I just saw like off the cuff, what's his face? What the hell was his name? The guy before, the last guy.
Andrew House?
No, yeah, I saw Andrew House.
Oh, there. Well, that was okay. That was the JW Marriott. That was when me and you hung out with Gio and his boys.
Yeah,
we were just having drinks, and then like a who's who of people just start showing up. Andrew House showed up. Fucking Cliff Blazinski showed up. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was fun hearing Andrew just like obviously he's a little bit more familiar. Like he's not like he's pretty business, but not so business. Yeah. But it was nice to see sort of like it was like 2018, right?
Yeah, 2018. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just sort of nice to see him sort of off the cuff because he, was just like, yeah, whatever. I was like, and I think we did ask him.
And we talked to him like he was just like a regular person. He was very cool.
And I think this was about the time when he was retiring.
Yeah, it was about time. Yeah,
he's like, he's like, the one thing about doing this sort of job is like, and I'm guessing that's part of the reason, maybe even why Jimbo decided to pull it off. It's like there's a lot that goes into it. It's like you're not only going over to you're going to other countries, you're meeting everybody, and it can be taxing on you. So it's like I could get that.
Yeah. Cliff Blazinski, he didn't pay us any fucking mind though. He's like,
oh no, he didn't give a shit. But I mean, whatever.
But I think we more affable CEO. But at the same time, you also want a guy that's tough too.
Yeah, you want a guy that doesn't seem like he's going to get the wool pull over his eyes. You want like, in other words, open to the point. Open to an extent.
Yeah, I mean? Because you see the game Microsoft is pulling. It's like, okay, we need someone hard too. So you got to have that. Actually, I mean, he's retired now. Somebody like Reggie Fils-Aimé, where that's a dude you kind of want to hang out with, but at the same time, he's a ball buster,
Yeah. He definitely had a vision for the whole thing, but yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it's something I'd like to see. And I mean, again, to be honest, I would like to see Sony get back to that sort of, idea of essentially, they're constantly like this generation hasn't had its defining game, which is really weird.
Yeah.
Like by year 3 and we're going on year 4, right? Like by that time we already had games from, at least when we're talking about PlayStation 3, even PlayStation 4. PlayStation 4 had stuff like that was like, okay, these are the games of that.
That's a good point. I think about that generation. PlayStation 5 has no defining game. Yet.
No,
we may get one this year, but yeah.
So far, everything is all just rollover from the last generation. Hey, look, it's Horizon Zero Dawn. Hey, it's Last of Us. Hey, it's I mean, granted, Ratchet and Clank is way older than all of them, but it's like, it's not. We haven't had that thing. Like also, like what was it? You had a Soulsborne game, which was a game from 2 generations earlier that was just redone. So it's like, I would like to see a lot of that, but I almost feel like because current PlayStation seems down the line of just constantly doing these sort of like not taking any chances and maybe doing a little bit of a smaller title to try to get more interesting things out there. Now they're just looking to just throw out these these nukes that I don't know.
Here's an interesting
I'd like to
one.
see it.
So Ace Ali asked, what about Final Fantasy 16? Instinctively I wanted to say no because it's third party, but at the same time, Final Fantasy 7 was a defining PlayStation game. For the first one.
It was a defining PlayStation game, and it was a third party.
Yeah, but at the same time, Final Fantasy 16 I wouldn't clarify because it didn't change the landscape of anything. It didn't sell PlayStations. As a matter of fact, Square Enix was disappointed with the sales.
They were disappointed with the sales, and they canceled
and it ain't no Final Fantasy
DLCs
7
on it.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and to be honest, Final Fantasy 7 is like, again, that's like that's member berries the game, right? Yeah, it looks really nice. It pretty much looks like exactly what you
wanted. Manny, I'm talking about the original. Remember what the original did for PlayStation 1? That was a defining game for that platform. But I don't think Final Fantasy 16 is a defining game for PS. I love Final Fantasy 16, but that is not a defining game for that platform, in my opinion.
No, I don't think it's a defining game for the platform.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, and even Spider-Man 2, I can't talk about it obviously, but that. Even that, right? Let's just say that is the defining game. What is that? A sequel, right?
Yeah.
So
again, we haven't.
But at the same time, to be fair, people consider The Last of Us 2 a defining game for PS4, and they consider, you know what I'm saying? So it's a little nebulous there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I feel like. Is Last of Us? How is Last of Us 2 a defining game?
Oh, I personally don't think it is, but
it's a weird because it's like
fans, it is. You know,
it's like more of the same. Like yeah, obviously there's a lot of improvements and stuff like that, and they prove to you they can make very cinematic sort of feeling sort of games. But all in all, what like I would say the original titles that really I would consider Horizon Zero Dawn a more of a defining title. I would consider Ghost of Tsushima a more of a defining title.
I would say that too, yeah.
Because those games are literally new IPs, and they actually did well, and they obviously, and we see with Horizon right now, they're making a sequel, right?
Yeah.
They made a sequel. So like I feel like but I feel like for this generation, we haven't had those things. But then again, those two games, Ghost of Tsushima and Horizon Zero Dawn are end of the generation games. Same thing with Death Stranding, but I wouldn't consider Death Stranding a defining game either.
Yeah, exactly. Mr. Jolly Yellow says, do you think Spider-Man 2 could be definitive PS5 title? We'll have to see.
I would say to one thing, and this might sound weird to people, I would think it would be sad if that was the only defining PlayStation 5 title. Because you're just telling to me you just like more obviously it's more improvements over the last one, but it's like come on guys, like really, is that all you got? You literally you're a sequel to a successful game. You don't really need to go that far off the board in order to get that to work. To be honest, I feel like the harder room was the first Spider-Man.
Yeah. Blitz says, so Returnal it is. See, that one is a PS5 exclusive, but I wouldn't consider that a defining game for the platform because it's not like a game that anybody could enjoy. It's for a very niche audience, that game, Yeah,
I would say that was a very sort of niche game, but with a AAA skin.
Yes. So yeah, we'll have to see what the defining game is for.
And to be honest,
at this point, we haven't had it yet.
The one thing about also defining games is also people try to clone them.
Yeah.
And we're already seeing Spider-Man getting a clone, like getting their gameplay ripped off by that one Asian game. What was that? What the hell game is that?
I forgot, but I know what you're talking about.
He's swinging around
what's
like
going
Spider-Man.
on, brother? I know what you're talking about. All right. Oh, yeah. Anyway, anybody else, other qualities you want to see in the next PlayStation CEO?
I want to see them be concerned about the future of the brand instead of just kind of what I feel is burning their good reputation. Like at a certain point, you need to start building good reputation. So I just think more gamer focus. Like it's cool to make more money, but I don't think there's a whole lot of Sony fans who are going to look at your last track record or their track record over the last 5-10 years and say, you know what? I am just happy with them as a brand. The way they've been going, I feel like they made some really good decisions. Like, you can still like their products and be like, I still enjoy them, but in that same breath, be like, yeah, but they haven't exactly been killing it lately. Let's be honest.
That's not what they're saying. That's not what PlayStation fans are saying at all.
No. I mean,
most PlayStation fans have been very happy this generation.
Yeah, crazy thing. Here's the thing. The crazy thing is they're being rewarded for their mediocrity. They're not shaking the ground very much in this generation, but
that's because nobody's challenging them. Sorry.
Well, I mean, people are challenging them. It's just not in the way that not in a different sort of ocean. I would say, right? Xbox has got their ocean and Nintendo's got their ocean, right?
Ace Ali says, "I like what PlayStation is doing, and I trust there's cool shit coming."
I would say they have stuff in the future, but I don't know if I would say it was cool shit. I mean, that's giving them something. You just, you know, I would say.
Thing. I've said this before, and you know, just being upfront, I understand that the opinion of us here on Throwdown is very different than the larger PlayStation community. The PlayStation community, by and large, this generation has been very happy with the output. We understand we're the outliers here. But we also have to be cognizant of the fact that our opinion isn't the prevalent opinion. Most PlayStation fans are fucking happy, you know?
Yeah, but the thing about the one thing about it is that I almost feel like it's like almost people don't remember what happened before.
Yeah,
like how much some of the stuff that in the previous ones were doing pretty well. And to be honest, like I feel like Throwdown was an outlier even on PlayStation 4 era. How many? Yeah. Like that's like how many episodes have we said that there was no games? How long were we saying that there were no games?
We were saying that for a long time. Yeah, and the fans were like,
"What are you guys talking about?" Fans weren't happy, Tony. Just FYI.
Oh, can you clarify that?
Sure. I said that even PlayStation fans who are happy with the product can't really look at the direction it's been going in the last 5-10 years and be like, "Yeah, man, they're totally killing it." Like if you can with a straight face tell me that Sony is doing as well as the PS2, PS3 era in terms of like delivering on.
I think you want to say PS2 and 4. PS3 kind of.
That's fair. That's fair. That's 2 and 4. 2 and 4. How's that like? There's like Sony has had a much stronger record in the past, and like you can't look at me with a straight face and be like, no, I feel like they've been doing that well these last 5 years under Jim Ryan's leadership. Like, no, just straight up no.
It's an interesting thing because like there's a whole different aspect of stuff that you know needs to be talked about on that end where like game, you know, the amount that they could put into a game was a lot, you know, they didn't, you know, the budgets weren't like as big as they were, the game scopes weren't as big as they were, so they could get out a lot more things more often. I feel like a lot of this generation and you know a lot of the last generation was essentially filling in the spaces between the big drops, right? You know, they're making all these sorts of acquisitions of, you know, smaller companies or making these deals with smaller companies to essentially fill the gaps in between the games. You know, the bigger games, you know, the cornerstone PlayStation titles. And, you know, I feel like there's more gap filling that's happening right now. And you could even see it on those PlayStation experiences, not the PlayStation experience, you know, PlayStation Lives or whatever the hell you want to call those things. Like you can see that they look like they almost, and even with the Xbox One, you can see that they don't have a whole lot of nothing, and they're just filling in spaces between the things that people really want to, you know, check out. But you know, is what it is.
Yeah,
they're both doing all of them. You know, Microsoft is doing it too. They're literally, you know, getting a bunch of, you know, independent developers and all kinds of other smaller developers to fill in the holes. But granted, like they made the biggest thing that they did was essentially acquiring like two of like very huge studios to essentially fill in the gaps. So now all the gaps that they're going to be filling it with are going to be like legitimate, like really big, you know, things, which is going to be interesting.
Call of Duty.
Yeah. Call of Duty. You know, like to be honest, like if Phil wanted to you know, Call of Duty aside, if Phil wanted to literally dig into Activision's you know, like Activision's backlog, you know, log of characters and IPs, they could literally do that. Like, yo, Phil could be like, yo, hey, we don't have an Uncharted game. What are you talking about? We have the guy that literally created who Uncharted was literally based off. Pitfall. Henry. We got that game. We just rename it. We can put him out. You know?
No, there is no fucking way Jim Ryan is 53 years old. He's 63. Like, I don't know. They would be melting, you know? Also, Blitz says, you know, regarding the last couple of years, PlayStation being he says, COVID.
I mean 2020, 2021 is understandable, but
yeah,
you know, before that and after that, it's
to be fair, actually, to be fair, Carlos, 2020 and 2021 we're still kind of right. Remember how development goes. So we still be getting games.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So it would be now when 2022 is when it's like, oh shit, what the fuck? There's nothing, you know.
The thing about you got to realize, exactly, like, Yeah, like 20, like you got to realize, like in general, most AAA games take about 5 years. If you know,
Tell that to Insomniac.
3 to 5 years.
Insomniac's a special case.
Insomniac has been rocking like 3 years almost, and they've been releasing 2 titles close to each other, which is pretty nuts too.
Yeah,
you know, almost every year they've had a game. Well, no, let's see. You know, they had Spider-Man Miles Morales, which was the rollover. Then that same year, right? Well, when did Ratchet come? Following year,
2021. Yeah, 2021. If I'm correct,
yes, they had Spider-Man 21, and then skip a year, which is 22, and then 23 they got Spider-Man 2.
Yeah,
whatever they got going on.
Yeah. All right.
Some sort of deal with a guy in a red suit.
10. Al Pacino, you know.
I said no.
Carlos,
I feel like like it's the whole thing with, it's even before this. Tony mentioned that we're the outliers when it comes to Sony fans. I kind of feel like I'm partly to blame, because I feel like I remember when I joined Throwdown, I kind of consciously felt like I was the only one that was down on gaming. So it was kind of weird, like the way that everyone went to my side on like the whole thing, because I felt like I saw the warning on the tracks back in when I joined in like 2016.
Yeah, you were saying that back then, yeah, and you were right, you know. But this generation, we were all on the same page. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Tell your sister you were right.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Another one about Jimbo Ryan. Right. How long after Jim Ryan's departure will you assign credit or blame to what Sony delivers? For example, if a new CEO begins in June 2024, do you credit him or Jim Ryan for games released in 2025 or in 2026?
18 months.
18 months?
18 months.
I think that's fair.
I mean, games tricky because, games, like, remember, we talked about Redfall earlier. Like, do we attribute that to Microsoft? Only, like, partly because they were part of the bad advertisement. But as far as the development, it's mostly ZeniMax, Bethesda that's to blame.
To be honest, they should have known. They should have already been telling them, like, hey, listen, this one might be a hot mess. It's almost like, but I think they perfectly did know that game was a hot mess.
Mm-hmm. And for acquisitions or anything, any type of deals that take place within the start of the era they should be giving credit to the person that's leading the charge.
I mean, it's like blaming James Gunn for the failure of a Blue Beetle. He had nothing to really do with that.
Yeah, that's true. That was already, So yeah, 18. I think 18 months is fair. All right.
Here's the thing that like I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff that even Jim Ryan essentially decided to nix as soon as he got into office. When he got into office from what was it? Who's the guy before him? It wasn't Andrew House. It was the
wasn't it Jack Trenton?
It was Jack Trenton. Yeah,
it was a Japanese guy.
No. He was
interim guy.
No, the Japanese guy is always the interim guy.
Yeah.
In fact, it's the same guy that's going to be the interim president.
Like, I'm doing it again.
He's like, it's funny. When he was transitioning between presidents, he said the same fucking thing about like online games and all that other stuff. He said the same thing. He also said the stuff about service games. It's weird. It's like deja vu. Like, same guy, same shit.
They just copied the same email.
He's like, all right, I'm going to say this now. And they're like...
He's not even a real person.
That guy personally, I do not want that guy.
Yeah, it was Andrew House before him. And you're right. There you go.
It was that interim guy.
John Codera? I don't know. He was an interim guy, whatever.
There was some other Japanese guy that was there too.
Yeah, but regardless, it was Andrew House. He was the big guy.
Kojima?
Not Kojima.
That's some Japanese guy, All right, so I'm gonna kind of combine the next two questions. J Shep and Dumeke, who should replace Jim Ryan? So it should be who do you think should replace Jim Ryan, and who do you think would be fun to have replace Jim Ryan, but who is still also believable to replace him?
Shuhei Yoshida.
That'd be nice.
A guy who's been in the weeds since the beginning of PlayStation.
Does he want the job?
That's the question.
Yes,
I don't think he wants.
Seat,
I think he, I think he
right.
doesn't. I feel like he doesn't want that job. I don't think he wants that responsibility. I'm thinking that's also part of the reason why he took the position that he did currently with the independent games, because I think he definitely has a genuine love for games and not all the other bureaucry that has.
Yeah, he wants to do the fun part, meet with developers, talk about games. He doesn't want to do all the.
But ideally, I would want somebody like that, like who was in the weeds, who had been there for years, who had shipped so many really good titles, who has a pretty good sense. Well, I mean, except for Bloodborne, except for Demon Souls, which you said wouldn't be a game that anybody would want to play, but everybody can be wrong.
But yeah, I like Shuhei, but I don't think he wants that job, to be honest.
I would say in an ideal world, I would like him to do it, but I know he wouldn't.
Well, someone mentioned in the chat. What about Herman
Holtz? I think that would be a good one.
I mean, Herman Holtz would be interesting.
That's
but
pretty
I feel
believable.
But Herman Holtz, I would definitely see him as something. But also, he's also a bit of a mystery right now. Like, we don't know what he's doing. Like, he's he has that position. Like, has the same position as a couple of guys at Sony in the previous one, but you barely see the guy. It's almost like he's not even there. Like you see like right now when you see like third party developers, and you always see like that photo of like Jim Ryan hanging out, or one of the other CEOs or the other game guys hanging out with one of the third party guys. You don't see any of that stuff with Herman Holt.
No, he kind of just hangs out.
He kind of stays in the like. There was when Horizon Zero Dawn was coming out, there was one interview that you didn't see that dude talking.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would go with Herman Holt, but I would it'd be interesting to get a better sense of him.
Yeah, that's true. But I think Herman Holt would probably be natural in that position.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we're going, taking the steps. For sure, but there's also a wild card.
Oh no!
What if they get our boy Phil Harrison?
No! He's like, I'm back, baby, and I'm going to do it even better this time.
You imagine that, man?
Ever since the success of the Google Stadia and the PlayStation 3 and Xbox One, I'm back at PlayStation again to show everyone the greatness of PlayStation.
Yeah. Logic Win says, Peter Moore. Imagine he comes out with a PlayStation tattoo.
Hello, this is exactly the same person. This is Peter Moore, and I am back, even though I'm not really back.
Oh my God, Vince Zampella. That's an interesting one. GZDR. Is Vince Zampella still even in the industry?
This tweet.
Peter Molly,
I want to
bring back the little boy.
Milo, he's grown up now. He's ready to take over PlayStation.
I've created a new IP with AI, and it's not called Milo. It's called Richard. And with Richard, he's going to be the most realistic boy you've ever seen in a digital world.
How about that?
Using advanced AI systems. It will analyze your voice. It'll make your trees grow. It'll make your dogs grow. It'll have everything you ever wanted in a game.
How about that? The new president will be an AI.
Oh God.
Hello, I am the new CEO of PlayStation Computer Entertainment.
Yes, I'm real. Next question.
Yes, I'm real. Shut up.
Fire everyone and replace them all with AI.
Logic One says, would you guys prefer a younger guy or an older guy? I was someone who's competent, man. I don't give a fuck about his age.
Yeah, age is not a thing, but I would.
Age ain't nothing but a number, baby. Unless it's for president. But that's all. Anyway, go on. Let me not get political on Throwdown.
I mean, age, here's the thing, I would want a competent person, but also I would say maybe a bit of a younger person might, because again, we've had so far, I think the last guy, he only was there, was it for 5 or 6 years? How long was he? House?
Jim Ryan? Oh, Andrew House.
Jim Ryan's 5. House was 6, right?
6, yeah, 6 years.
So, it's interesting.
Yeah. Blitz goes, Blitz says, what about a woman? Again, I don't care as long as they're competent.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they're competent. I mean, we have been seeing sort of a conjiggering, visual conjiggering happening. I mean, you guys saw the last PlayStation Experience thing, right? Or whatever, PlayStation Live. Who is that lady that they had there? I'd never seen that woman ever before.
Is she an executive?
I can't remember what she was. I mean, she had
she was a presenter. I don't know.
Well, no, she was somebody at PlayStation. She had a title and everything.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering who is that lady?
Well, if there's anyone that's likely to have a succeeding
not Bonnie Ross. No logic wins.
No, Bonnie Ross.
No, fuck no.
Sarah Bond on Xbox.
Yeah, Sarah Bond on
Xbox.
Yeah,
would seem like a contender for that.
And I don't know. Sarah Bond is kind of like person we want forward facing. She's affable. She's excited about the product. That wouldn't be bad. I mean, it's not going to be her, but somebody like Sarah Bond would be good. Turn things around. Yeah, it'd be good. Jade Raymond, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? But again, I would say, yeah, go ahead.
I would say Jade Raymond. The one interesting thing about Jade Raymond is she's done a lot of stuff behind the scenes that we've not seen. Obviously she was the face for Assassin's Creed because she was head of the marketing for it. But yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, granted, she I don't know. I don't know.
We
don't know. Yeah,
Stadia stuff. So.
Yeah, she does have a little bit of that Stadia stink.
Man. That'd be interesting. Again, I don't care who it is. But Olajuwon does make a good point when it comes to the age, because remember Jim Ryan said I'm getting too old to be traveling around to jet lag. So probably somebody younger would probably be better for sure.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest,
that's a good point.
How old was Andrew House when he left?
Probably not as old as Jim Ryan.
He didn't look nearly as old as Jim Ryan does.
Well, Andrew House is younger than Jim Ryan right now.
Yeah,
so he didn't retire because of jet lag. It's just he was just ready to move on.
The Xbox guy with the sweater and the jacket on the couch is like, let me tell you about the. Remember what's his name?
Wait, who?
Remember he wore the hoodie and the blazer and he sat on a chair. It was on MTV. He said, let me tell you about that. And he was the face. For
the first guy from Xbox, right? That guy? I forgot his name, but the guy who pretty much pretty much got Xbox into that position. No,
Otaku man, you probably know that name. Who is that? Who they're talking about?
I'm blanking on this dude's name.
Seamus Blackley, right?
No.
Is it him?
No.
Isn't it Seamus Blackley?
No. I would remember. No, it's not Seamus.
You know who Seamus is, though, right?
Ain't that a wrestler?
He left and he started a bike company that does those rentals on the street.
Oh, that's not Seamus.
He did one of those. That's what he's doing now. He left the industry altogether, but he would throw these crazy raves and parties and shit. I remember Major Nelson would always hold me. I was like, yeah, that guy lives the real cool laid back life that you see that he's portraying. That's his life. Yeah. He's just partying and playing games. Damn, what was his name? But he was on MTV.
I don't remember.
He was always the face. And he came out with this hoodie and a blazer. I'm like, damn, man, what are you doing? And he's like,
was he bald?
No, he had hair.
Okay,
he was pretty.
He had been doing pretty recently, interviews pretty recently about that his time on Xbox and all the different things that he had to do to get a bunch of developers on there. I can't remember the guy's name, unfortunately.
It sucks. Yeah, I'm blanking on it.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Next question. All right, we're done with the Jim Ryan questions. Good stuff.
Yay.
This one is from Otaku Man question, but it's still PlayStation related. The biggest complaint I hear from a lot of people is that PlayStation's first-party titles all follow the same template or that the games are cookie cutter, except for Spider-Man or maybe Ghost of Tsushima. They are saying that the gameplay has not evolved. What do you guys think? This is something we said. When it comes to PlayStation big AAA first-party titles, yes, you do see a lot of like same-isms, big third-person action game or whatever. But again, they also made games like oh my god, I'm getting the Puppeteer. They made that. They made the fucking graffiti game. They had all that shit. Gravity
Concrete
Rush.
Genie, Gravity Rush.
So these are also PlayStation games that don't follow the quote unquote PlayStation formula.
Life of Black Tiger.
Well,
they didn't make that.
They didn't make that. So that's what I say. So every time people bring that up, it's like, oh, the Sony formula. I'm like, oh, so Puppeteer is the Sony formula. So Gravity Rush is the Sony formula.
Eco is the Sony formula.
Yeah, exactly.
Or The Last Guardian, or Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah.
But to be honest, we're naming a bunch of Japan studio games.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
The company, the part of the company they decided to go.
Yeah. So that's what I say to people. I mentioned these games, but at the same time, I do understand where people are coming from. If you only focus on placing third-party, first-party AAA games, yes, you do see that quote-unquote formula. But if you look at the entire portfolio, you see there's a lot of more diversity.
I mean, like even Ratchet and Clank, it doesn't actually fit in that either. It's a platformer shooter.
Yeah, exactly, and that is big AAA. So yeah, I've always kind of called BS on that, even though I do understand where people are coming from.
No, I mean, here's the thing: like, it's definitely something, because a lot of the more well-known titles sort of follow those sort of formulas established by a PlayStation 3 generation game which is Uncharted.
Uncharted really paved the way for that.
Where now essentially the PlayStation formula is essentially just making Uncharted likes.
Yeah. No, you're right. So I get it, but you also got to look at the broader context there. All right, another one. Oh, sponsored question. Who is this guy? F it all. I think I like this guy. He has a lot of cool tattoos on him.
He's pretty fiery, that guy.
So he's sponsoring one of Villa Kyle's questions for no reason whatsoever. It's the Starfield question. Todd Howard says that, and Brett, for no reason, I want you to answer first.
All right, okay.
Todd Howard says that more than any of Bethesda's previous open world RPGs, Starfield was created to be played and evolved for years to come. After playing Starfield, do you see a future where Starfield is the quintessential evergreen title, eclipsing its predecessors in longevity and long-term value? So basically, do you think Starfield will be the next Skyrim?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the more that I play it, the more I'm like, fuck, there is so much to this goddamn... Like, it is almost... It's almost problematic. Like, the weird thing about Starfield is that it like, you thought the wagon ride from Skyrim was an obstacle to getting into the game. Like, holy fuck. I understand why people are like 12 to 25 hours in before they're like, okay, the game just opened up. Because, dude, I'm still kind of fiddling around, building my spaceship. I'm unlocking new powers. I'm kind of dealing with some faction stuff. I made it to Neon, and I'm like, cool, so this game's cyberpunk. But, I have not started to do, the outposts, and I could hang out and scan a bunch of things. There's so many derelict spaceships and abandoned facilities and bounties and cargo runs. I can be a space trucker where I literally pick up material from point A and fly it to point B, fending off pirate attacks sometimes. Sometimes it's just very kind of quiet space trucker stuff. There's so much here. It almost feels like I'm not sure if anybody can relate to this, but when you start an MMO, it's almost like this wall of just, there's too much here. I do not know what is going on and what I am supposed to be doing right now. And I'm still there. I've found entire settlements on planets that I'm like, oh, this planet's named. Oh, looks like there's a city here. I don't have time to, go through and listen to local rumors, because I'll just walk by and start picking up quests. I'm just like, no, shut up. Put another helium tank on the ship. I'm sick of stopping at fucking podunk middle of the middle of the space flyover star systems when I'm trying to get from point A to point B. So strap 2 more helium tanks on this bitch so I can get where I'm trying to go. I'll come back if I remember and I feel like it. But honestly, there's just it's like trying to eat a buffet, man. And I think that the completionists are going to have their heads spinning a little bit. I think that a lot of people are just going to kind of be like, well, I went up and I grabbed a plate and I guess I've experienced Starfield. And they're not wrong. They have, but there's just so much here. And it's so easy to just fuck around and just run off and just like, it has everything that made Skyrim special, plus a whole bunch of other systems. Now, I think it's probably going to need, like, here comes the dig. I think they're going to edit it for a while. I think it's going to kind of be like Cyberpunk, where the best version of it is in 2 years. And so we can all kind of cynically take that to be what he actually means, because that's probably the case. Like, oh, it'll evolve for years. Like, oh, you mean it'll be functionally better? Like, I actually saw today a bunch of NPCs take off running from something, which means that it's in the game. It's not so much that you can't just draw your weapon, shoot in the air, and nobody cares. Like, that's not a feature. That's apparently a bug, because we've all seen those videos. So they will freak out and run. I just don't know what keys it off. And, you know, Cyberpunk did a lot of the same thing. Like, all the NPCs were super weird. So, I think if it continues to evolve the way that I anticipate it to, and the way that their other titles have, and the way that people doing mods that basically force them to admit the shortcomings of their own game and then go back and fix it, like, all of these things together will make it an evolving thing. But moreover than anything else, there's just, dude, there's so much. There's so much.
So you guys made an analogy last time where I think, Brett, you mentioned that Starfield is as wide as an ocean but as deep as a puddle. And I feel like for this game, it needs to be as deep as a medium-sized lake, I guess, to sort of fulfill that for me, because I don't know, you know, after I've put in 50 plus hours into this game, and I feel like the only thing that would get me back into going back to play the game is completing some of the faction missions that I still haven't completed. Because I don't know, I feel like that some stuff needs to improve on. Traversal through within the planet would be nice if you can get, like, and you know this is going to happen, a vehicle or something that could help you traverse faster through the planets than just running. It would make me want to visit more planets just naturally, and having those, because there's some planets that have cool stuff. They have some settlements. There might be a person with a mission in the settlement, and that's pretty cool. But sometimes there's some planets that are just like, I've noticed, I've been through like over 50 plus planets, and all of them have a like dungeon, or not dungeons, a cave, and all the caves are the exact same thing. So like, it'd be cool like to have some variety in some of that. And you know, just including more missions would be great. They need to support this thoroughly with DLCs for years if they want to do this. They can't just be like, oh, let the modders take over. And I don't think that'll work. It'll help it for, you know, a bit, but it's not going to make it the game that's going to have the legs of a WoW or a Final Fantasy 11 type game, you know, where people are just playing it, you know, in perpetuity for a long time.
Yeah. By the way, Carlos, just real quick, the origin of the wide as an ocean, deep as a puddle was for Skyrim, ironically enough, you know. So I'm like, if Starfield meets that criteria, then it kind of is the next Skyrim. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but Skyrim wasn't like Skyrim, as great of a game it is, and as much as it's sold, it doesn't. Skyrim does not reach the potential that Starfield can have as sort of a.
That's a good point.
Game.
Whoa! Hold on. Let me make sure I'm understanding. You said this. I just want to. Are you saying that Starfield has more potential than Skyrim?
As well for sales, I don't know, because Skyrim is a tentpole sales game for Bethesda, but I'm saying just in terms of a game that can be more playable and more longevity in terms of playtime, in terms of experiences, in terms of traversal, in terms of people posting shit on YouTube, on Twitch and stuff like that. Yes, I do think so.
Those bold words.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you know, Skyrim is a game that's confined within a map. And there are extensions and stuff like that, but you know, Starfield has a lot more than that. It has space traversal. It has multiple solar systems. It has more solar systems than people should honestly be like visiting. It's like there's a solar system called Nirvana that I visited, and I'm like, what the hell is in Nirvana?
Does it play underneath the bridge?
I wish it did. That would have been awesome.
Something's in the way.
Or the state of enlightenment. It could be that too, you know.
Well, you know, and it's they can add so much more to this game that could extend the longevity, and more than just like, oh, you know, the modders added this, the modders added that to Skyrim and extended sort of the lifespan of it. This could be more than just that. This could be like, you know, people are still playing Starfield for fucking 4 years from now because there's actually new things to do that's curated by the people who created the game.
Yeah, good stuff. All right. By the way, Adam, thank Richard for this one. Jay Allard.
Yeah, I'm still looking up Jay Allard. He was the man. Yeah. That dude, smooth as butter. Every interview, he just seemed very, I'm from Seattle. I don't give a shit. It's like, oh, do you play this game? Yeah. What about this one? Maybe. I don't know. Get a 360. I gotta go. And it's like, boom. He didn't care. He was awesome. I miss him. And then when he left, that was a big deal. It's like, why are you leaving? I did everything I wanted to do here. I conquered. I got to go do other things. Peace. Very relaxed, nonchalant dude.
Cool. All right, more sponsor questions. Mr. Romudith sponsoring some J-Shep questions. J-Shep asked a lot of questions this week, man. All right. According to, and let me finish this question, guys, before you jump in, because this first sentence will have some of you guys going, rrr. Give me a second, because and I'm even speaking for myself. I'm like, hold on, whoa. But let me get to it.
You people.
Yeah. According to VG charts, after 34 months, the Xbox Series XS is estimated 130,000 units behind the Xbox One. Can the Xbox Series console surpass the Xbox One in lifetime sales? The Xbox One is at 57.96 million lifetime sales versus Xbox Series X, which is 23.23. All right. Because I know J-Shep, you know, he says he's only really been in tune with the gaming. He's been a gamer forever, obviously. But with, like, the internet gaming community, he's only really been around, like, not as long as us, right? So he doesn't know that VG Charts is a very questionable website when it comes to sales charts, right? So if we ever cite them, which on Throwdown, I've borderline forbidden, you know, take it. Go ahead.
Old consoles.
What happened?
Only for old consoles.
Yeah. So take it with the heaviest grain of salt, whatever you read from that website, you know. But to answer the question, yes, I do think the Xbox Series X will outsell the Xbox One. I don't think that's even in question. Xbox One was plagued with fucking issues from before even launch, you know. And I'm not saying that the Series XS.
It was ugly. Yeah, it was ugly.
No, but even that, the messaging. Remember, TV, sports. Nobody forgot that shit. You know,
forcing you to get a Connect.
Yeah, the Connect. A lot of issues. Not saying the Series X didn't have issues too, but its main issue, even though it is a pretty egregious one, is having no games. But it didn't sour people like fucking the Xbox One did. So yeah, I think it'll outsell the Xbox One for sure. I don't know about how much. Don't ask me that. I have no idea. But it will outsell
Tony,
it. What up?
Which one did you say had the stigma of no games?
The X so far. Not Starfield obviously dropped, but for 3 years it's like Xbox no games. Only had Halo.
And by the way, remember, and people forget, and J-Ship, I don't know if you were around this time, in the know, but remember, PlayStation 3 for a long time had a huge reputation of no games. They even made songs about it.
Yeah, I remember that. And remember, Gabe Newell, he was like, why did Sony release this shit? I would discontinue it. He said that,
And believe in multiplayer and shit, remember? Online play, we did a focus group. Our audience doesn't want this. They made that whole song.
Yeah, and I remember that. So yeah, again, I don't want to go too much. VG charts, I don't trust them. But yes, I do think the Series XS will outsell the One.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah,
especially when it goes black. For some reason, people like to get a just black console.
Yeah, the S just
the S, yeah,
the S just had a black one. I gotta be black.
I gotta be black.
Another one here. French regulators raided Nvidia's French offices this week, citing concerns for cloud services. Does anyone know if any of this is related to GeForce Now? I didn't see that in the reports, but Carlos, go ahead. I don't know if you read up on this.
No, I only know the surface level stuff. I was asking Adam if you got an email about this.
I didn't get that email.
But no, I read the report and I didn't see anything regarding GeForce Now. But GeForce Now is cloud, so. But I don't think GeForce Now itself is an issue. But we don't know all the specifics yet, so we have to wait on that.
I mean, and when it comes to Nvidia is one of the major players in cloud services.
Yeah.
If you don't know, most companies, for example, Tesla and several, I think Microsoft and Google, all these companies, they buy Nvidia products for their data centers. So they're deep within cloud services, not even just within Nvidia. Like all their companies have their cloud services set up with Nvidia graphics cards. So not sure what this in particular has to, it could be GeForce, it could be something else. We're gonna have to see, but yeah, it's crazy because when I got the news a couple of days ago, when in the Discord we're all talking about it, I'm like, the first headline was just Nvidia offices raided by I forgot who, but by authorities.
Yeah, French.
Where you put your games in the cloud? What? That's the server room? No.
No, in the cloud, man. It's up in the sky.
Stealing games? No.
Imagine if somehow this ends up being like, Nvidia had their own crypto mining.
Shit.
Oh, God.
It's like they've been artificially reducing the inventory because they've been hogging up a lot of their GPUs to mine crypto.
Crypto.
That'd be funny.
Oh man. But yeah, we don't know enough about the case to start talking about it. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't want to make any speculations right now. All right. Moving on here. Villa Kyle once again. And we've kind of been hinting at this throughout this episode, which is interesting. Cyberpunk 2077, The Witcher 3, No Man's Sky, and many more games launch broken and or feature incomplete only to later be found on a subscription service like PlayStation Plus or Game Pass or just patched later on. In more than one way, the day one player gets the worst experience at the highest price, and the year X player gets the best version at the lowest price. At what stage does this dichotomy become too much to offset the value of playing day one, especially when there are so many good games being released at such a rapid cadence? I wish Brian was here because he's the king of this shit.
Yeah, he's the king. He's the king of waiting, man.
Yeah,
but this is nothing new. It's always been like this. It's always been. Prices of gear and hardware go down, so then of course it'll come out cheaper. Games have time to settle, fix bugs and stuff. Come out with Game of the Year editions.
But
yeah, this is nothing new. Early adopters.
By the way, real quick, Adam, you're 100% right, but he's just basically asking, is it just better for you to wait? You know, that's what he's asking.
Yeah, you don't have to get that FOMO. Yeah, unless you really want to play it. Yeah, wait.
It is totally better for you to wait, because you not only get a game that's fixed compared to what it was originally launched at. And this goes for any title, even titles that aren't even like launch in a horrible state. But you literally get all the different stuff. You get all the DLC and all that other stuff. If you waited the 3 years for Cyberpunk, you're probably at the best point that you could possibly do. You got a bunch of you fixed up everything. They got all the crazy ray tracing shit working properly. So it's like you might as well have waited the 3 years to buy it. So I mean, that's the thing is the question.
That's the downside. One downside.
The downside is, can you resist it? Like, can you resist the FOMO of, like, in other words, especially if you're being on Twitter, and Tony's talked about this plenty of times, and the rest of the team talked about this plenty of times, where you literally see the ending of games as they're, like, in the first week of it being launched.
And so not even Twitter, too. Have YouTube. You have the thumbnails fucking spoiling shit.
Yeah. Literally all these different things. Like, right now, Castlevania's on Netflix. You know, I'm not even fully through it. But you know what I've seen? Already shit that's already out there, really big spoilers for it. So it's like, if you can somehow manage to avert all the different things there, you'll probably be in the best state you could possibly be if you decide to get a game like maybe a few years down the line. You get it cheaper, it's got all the stuff that you want in it, and it's all fixed. People should have asked that. Like, he mentioned The Witcher in there too, right?
Yeah, he did.
The Witcher also released in an awkward state too.
Yeah. Here's the thing, and I'm saying this as the quintessential day one gamer, right? It is objectively smarter to wait till the game gets patched. It is objectively smarter. Wait for the game to get patched. Wait for the game to price drop. FOMO is stupid. And I'm saying this as a guy with FOMO as fuck when it comes to games, right? It is stupid. It makes no financial sense. Like, you can wait. You can wait. These games, especially the way games are all broken nowadays and shit. You know, like, think about it, right? Like, if you bought Cyberpunk now, you're like, yo, I don't know what the hell people were talking about. This is fucking awesome, you know? But at the same time, if you're gonna FOMO, just be aware of what you're gonna be getting into. And I choose to deal with it because I want to be there day one, you know?
I do have some of a little bit of FOMO as well, but for me, what I go through is motivation differences when it comes to gaming. I don't know why. I guess it's just a me thing, but you guys know whenever a big game like Red Dead Redemption 2, I still haven't beat that game. You know why? Because I went on a fucking trip the day it came out, and when I came back, I just didn't have the same motivation as when it came out. Yeah, and when you're anticipating something, it's hard to wait. Like let's say, for example, let's say Red Dead Redemption 3. No, that doesn't make sense. 3 doesn't make sense. Let me think of another game. Cyberpunk 2078. Tony.
Yeah.
When that game comes out, we fucking love Cyberpunk 2077 and Phantom Liberty, right?
Yep.
When the next game comes out, we're gonna be hyped for it. It's like, because we fucking love the first game. Why the hell are we gonna wait a year after it comes out? Like, that's it, and that's part of the dichotomy as well. It's like you're anticipating something, it's out there, and you're just like, I need to fucking play it, and that might not be the most fiscally responsible or the most bug responsible, because at the end of the day, if you wait for a game, it's probably going to have more features and it's probably going to have less bugs.
Yeah, but, like if you wait for the Game of the Year edition or whatever, you're going to get a better experience. But at the same time, like you said, Carlos, if you like that first game, you're probably going to want to get the second one as soon as it drops, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't care about it, if it's something that you're like, then don't get it. And then you'll be fine. But then avoid it. Don't avoid hearing about it, because that is very easy to do. If you know a lot of people talking about certain games, I'm like, fuck, I'm not following this.
Well, it depends. Like, if you go to YouTube and these thumbnails are just in your face, You know, that's a little harder.
Yeah, there's plenty of spoilers all over.
Like
the
I remember
place,
with
endings and stuff.
Like I remember with both God of Wars that came out on PS4 and PS5. I was like, yo, I'm glad I reviewed these fuck games because literally day one spoilers. You know, I'm like, what the fuck? And it's not like I'm looking for them; they're just right there in your face. You know,
Tony, Last of Us 2.
Yeah,
that shit was everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. You know,
even before the game came out.
So yeah, man, we live in interesting times, man. But ironically enough, I'm waiting on Starfield and Baldur's Gate, but that's because I got other things going on. Like even though obviously I'm reviewing Spider-Man and Mirage, right? If I was just regular gamer, I would day one both. You know?
Yeah, you would totally do that.
Day one, instantly for both of them.
Normal Tony would have just been day one on that.
Yep, day one. So I'm doing day zero now. You know?
Day negatives.
Yeah, but plug. My review of Assassin's Creed Mirage will be up on Wednesday, so stay tuned for that. And I can't tell you anymore, but you go read my preview. I previewed the game. I can just tell you that based on my preview, very happy with the direction because it's not 50 million hours long. It's like old Assassin's Creeds. But I can't tell you shit about Spider-Man. You'll have to wait for that. October 16th. All I can tell about Spider-Man is all I can tell you about Spider-Man is it has Spider-Man in it and it's set in New York.
he can only do just like everybody else who got an early copy of Spider-Man. He can only show you that same shot of the main menu.
Yep, that's what Sony said. This is the only thing you're allowed to show.
Unless it's some people that are going to break them apart, they don't give a shit.
Well, good. Then Sony should cut them off. Fuck those people.
I saw. Wait, Tony, you'll be pissed off because one person I saw posted a slightly different image of the main menu, not the back of that character's head, but a little a scene maybe earlier or later, but after that sequence.
Yeah, as long as it's that with the press X to start, they're fine.
Yes.
Yeah, because some people are giving me shit. Oh, you broke embargo. I'm like, Sony literally said I could use this scene, bro. And that's it.
Who say you broke embargo? You literally
assholes. Assholes.
Literally saw 1,000 people, like Paris and Danny and a bunch of other people who have the game. They literally posted the same fucking image.
Yeah. No, they're assholes. People are assholes. All right. And the final question of the night, people. GZDR forever. All right. Do you
better be a good one, GZDR?
Yeah. Do you think GTA 6's rumored $100 price will push people towards subscription services, or will we accept it as a new normal in pricing? Okay, first of all, rumored. I highly doubt. I highly doubt this game will cost $100 as standard. No fucking way. No. $70 tops for the base game. But Adam, you and I talked about this. That collector's edition, you already know that motherfucker's gonna be like $160.
But I mean, the thing about
it's gonna be.
But the thing about it is, like the last time they did that crazy edition, they gave you a lot of shit.
They will, yeah. Rockstar goes in. They go in.
Safety deposit box.
The safety deposit box with the T-shirt and the key, all that stuff they gave you.
I call BS on that. The base game will not cost more than $100. That is fucking crazy. $70 tops. So I don't believe any of that nonsense. So the easy enough question to answer there, people. And we're done. We're done. Another good show, another fiery episode. But we kept it more civil this time.
Fiery.
The Thursday show was more fiery, But yeah, man. Do we have anything to plug around here before we leave?
Another episode of I Am Negan is out for Daryl Dixon, The Walking Dead. Daryl Dixon. Episode 4. Right, so if you haven't watched it, if you have watched it, want to hear our views and thoughts on it, myself, Rich Bailey Jr., and Carlos Romero, check it out. iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. I Am Negan. Walking Dead for life.
For life.
That should always be. That's going to be like, it's like those novellas. It'll always be a version. But then again, this is more of like CSI. And all those Law and Orders, how there's like 15 million spin-offs. Some come, some go, some come back. It's going to be like that. We're just going to always have
Da Nuke. There you go. Logic wins.
Yeah, man.
He says Da Nuke for life.
They should have just kept a whole show just for life after a nuke and walkers and shit. That's it. That's all we need.
Yeah, man. Mad Max and shit.
Yeah, that's it.
You know,
everybody walking around in the desert.
Blitz goes, Blitz says, what if there is no special edition and the basis what the special edition would be? That's not happening. That's not happening. They're not happening.
That'd be pretty crazy, and the game, the fans would probably be like, fuck this shit.
You know the online service is still gonna have shark cards and all that shit. So it's not like, oh, if you pay this, you won't have to pay anything. That's bullshit. You know, bullshit.
I don't see that happening at all.
No.
All right, we're done here, Make sure you follow Throwdown on Twitch and Twitter. Join the Discord where the conversations and the rumors are always popping. The conversations sometimes get a little heated, but it's good. You know, it happens. It happens, passionate, run high sometimes, but it's all good in the hood. Throwdown, we're on every podcast app on the planet. Throwdown Show, that's 2 words. Throwdown Show, throwdownshow.com to listen to past episodes. And if you have been watching us on the YouTubes and enjoyed our videos, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified of when our premieres go live, and links to everything down below. Once again, I was your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I was joined by Emilio Lopez.
See you later, guys.
Carlos Romero.
Peace out.
Adam Vale.
Have a good week, everybody.
And Brett Murdoch.
It's been real.
You already know, man.
Say a prayer for Messi. All
right, Thursday.
He's having some
Messi, the football guy?
Yeah, horrible health issues. Not good. So let's say a prayer for him. Yeah.
All right, people. We'll see you on Thursday. Later.
Peace.
Laters.